everyone, I'm Mrs. Newcomb, and we are going to do the frog dissection. Are you guys excited? Are you guys ready? I don't know if you can ever be ready for the frog dissection. It's kind of weird too. This is the frog that we're going to use, and so I feel like this video is really going to help students that are remote, but also students that are in class. We are going to have a quiz on Wednesday/Thursday, depending on when you're in our class. So this video is both for my students and Mr. Tricky students because we are doing the same exact thing. And so we're going to start with the external features first. So let's go ahead and get into that. And so with this video, you can rewind it, you can fast forward, you can make me talk faster, whatever you need to do to help you remember the parts of the frog. And this will help you be successful on the quiz. I also made a Quizlet for everyone so that you guys could look at that as well. So you have a lot of different ways to learn the frog parts. So hopefully what I give you can help. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I hope you guys are all doing well today. We're going to start with this structure right here. This structure is called the tympanic membrane. So this is basically the eardrum of the frog, and it helps the frog sense its environment. So the eardrum is visible, and it's pretty easy to see. So this circular part is the tympanic membrane. So if you guys are in person, you'll definitely be able to see it. Mr. Tricky and I are going to definitely go over these parts over the document camera live for those that are remote. So that'll be really nice as well. The next part that we're going to go over is this clear part that's over the eye. So the clear part that is over the eye is called the internal eyelid. And so this acts as just an extra protective layer for the eye. And some amphibians have this, and also reptiles. Some reptiles can have this as well. And so it just gives them that protective layer. I do know that alligators and crocodiles have this, and it's pretty cool. It's like an extra set of goggles for them. The next thing that I want to talk about is the external eyelid. So the external eyelid is just the top right here, just above the eye. So the one thing that's easy about this quiz is it will be multiple choice. So it'll be really easy when I point to this and say, okay, what is this structure? Number 2 is this structure. So you'll just have the multiple choice question. We're going to do the quiz over the document camera. So I'll be like, number 3 is this structure. It's the circular structure right here. Or Mr. Tricky would do the same thing. And so you'll need to know all these parts. So this right here, let's go ahead and review. This is the tympanic membrane. This is the internal eyelid. It just gives it that extra protective layer. And this is the external eyelid, which is just right above the eye. And we can even say that on the quiz. This is right above the eye. Okay, the next part that I'm going to go over, and this is actually kind of hard to see in general, even in person it's actually hard to see. If you were to look at it, I'm actually having a difficult time. But there's these 2 holes at the nose area, and you would think, oh, it's the nose, right? Well, we call it the external nares. So you'll see these like little 2 holes, and they're called the external nares. And on the quiz, we could say the 2 holes right here. And so those are the external nares, which makes a lot of sense, hopefully. And one more thing that I want to go over with you is, unfortunately, the anus. But this is actually called the cloaca, and this is just basically frogs only have one opening, and it's the cloaca. And so that's there. So I'll point, and you'll have to know that it's the cloaca. So let's review the external features really quick. This one, I'll let you think about it. Good job. It's the tympanic membrane. This one right here, what's this one? Good job. It's the internal eyelid. This one right here, what is this part right here? Good job. That's the external eyelid. You can always pause this too if you ever just want to practice. This is almost like what the quiz will be like. These 2 holes right here, what are those? The external nares. Good job. So, and this part is the cloaca. So that's the cloaca. Okay. So we're actually done with the external features. Pretty easy, huh? So that'll be an easy part of the quiz, hopefully. You can always rewind this video as many times as you want to review. And let's go ahead and get to the mouth parts. Alright, so we're going to look at the internal parts of the mouth. I decided I had to get another frog because this frog right here that we have, some of the parts in the mouth were kind of hard to see. And I had dissected this frog last year, and I think it has a pretty good visual of the mouth parts. So the first thing that we're actually going to look at are the bumps right here. So do you see these two bumps? These two bumps are called the vomerine teeth. Okay, so you got the vomerine teeth. No, not Mr. Vollmer teeth. Anytime I say this, students always think of Mr. Vollmer. But these are the vomerine teeth. There's a sharp outer edge right here. So the sharp outer part these are actually teeth. There's like teeth here that you can't really see. These are called the maxillary teeth. And both the maxillary teeth and the vomerine teeth just help the frog latch on the food. Okay, so when we do the quiz, we'll say it's the sharp outer edge of the frog's mouth. And then you'll know it's the maxillary teeth. So we got the vomerine teeth, and then we got the maxillary teeth. These two holes right here. So do you see these two holes? These two holes are called the internal nares. So we got the vomerine teeth, we got the maxillary teeth, which are on the outer edge, and then we have the internal nares, which are these two holes right here. This part's pretty easy. So this part right here, that's the tongue. So that's an easy part. I think that'll be an easy part of the quiz. So now we're going to go ahead and this one is kind of hard to see, but and the reason why it's hard to see is because it's pretty much the same color as everything else. But there's this structure right here with a little slit, okay? And so this structure is called the glottis, and I know this is hard to see. And I think on the quiz we can say this structure has a little slit. What is this structure called? It is called the glottis, and it helps protect the airway of the frog. So it prevents food from going down into the airway. We have one as well called the epiglottis, same thing. And then another thing actually that I want to show you that's really easy to see are these two holes right here. So these two holes are called the Eustachian tubes. So the Eustachian tubes help with the frog's like ear pressure. That's what Eustachian tubes are. We have Eustachian tubes as well. So that helps with the frog's ear pressure. Okay? And then also, we're just going to do this for the quiz. Down here is the esophagus. So down here is the esophagus. Okay? So let's go ahead and review. What are these two bumps? Vomerine teeth. What is this outer sharp edge? Maxillary teeth. What are these two holes right here? Those are the internal nares. Good job. What is this slit right here? This little structure with the slit? That's the glottis. Good job. What are these two holes down here? You can really see it. There we go. These two holes are called the Eustachian tubes. This right here, good job, it's the tongue. And then what's this right here? Put the scissors down it. That's the esophagus. Good job. Okay, so those are the mouth parts. So hopefully you guys could see them. Hopefully this was a good visual for you. We're going to go ahead and get into the internal features, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now let's look at the internal structures of the frog. So this frog is actually really cool, and the reason why it's cool is it has eggs. So not all frogs have eggs inside of them, but we actually got a frog for this video that has eggs. So do you see all these, like this peppery stuff right here? Here, I'll kind of pull some of it out. But this peppery stuff, these are eggs. So, this frog has not released their eggs yet. But I'm going to try my best to show you all the parts. You will not be quizzed on the eggs because not all frogs have eggs. And, you know, by the time I take this frog apart, we will be quizzed. You guys will have a quiz on a different frog, basically. And each frog is different. But this is a female because it has eggs. So, not all females, though, have eggs inside of them. So sometimes the female does release them, but this female did not. I'm going to try my best to point stuff out for you and make it as easy as possible because I know the contrast is a little weird, but we could do this. So one of the bigger organs on the inside you would think that this is the lungs, but it's actually not. This right here, these things, it gets kind of closer together. This is the liver. So it's actually a 3-lobe structure. I accidentally tore off a little bit of the liver. It's right here. But this is the liver. And so the liver, and I'll show you what the lungs look like so that you don't confuse them because they look quite different. But the liver is basically one of the biggest organs in the body, okay? So this is the liver. So you'll see it right away. It's pretty big, and you'll have a really good visual on Quizlet. So I'm actually going to take out the liver so we can see other parts pretty easily. But before I do, I want to show you underneath the liver, that green sac. So I'll show it. So this green sac right here, do you see that? That green sac is the gallbladder. And it's green because there's green bile inside. The gallbladder stores extra bile, right? So this green sac is the gallbladder. This big structure right here is the liver. Okay, so now I'm going to take out the liver, okay? Just so that we can see everything. So you're going to kind of take things apart if you're dissecting in class. There's a lot of connective tissue here. So it's not too easy to take it off. But the next thing I actually want to show you that's easy to see. In fact, I'm actually going to go into a transition because I'm going to get rid of some of this connective tissue. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I think I made this a little bit easier. So this right here, this triangular structure, do you guys have an idea of what that is? If you said the heart, you were correct. So good job. So this dark upper part of the triangular structure of the heart are the atria. So you have the atria, and then this lower, lighter part, that's the ventricle. So you have the atria, and then you have the ventricle, okay? So that should be pretty easy. I hope that's easy. So you'll need to know both parts, and it's really easy to see, and I think it has a good visual on Quizlet as well. The next part that I want to show you actually, I'm going to go ahead and show you this part next. So this part right here is the stomach. And we've opened the stomach in classes before. This stomach looks really small. I've seen things as big as mice inside frogs. I've seen beetles inside the frog's stomach. So you guys might find something in the stomach. This stomach looks really small, so there's probably really not anything in here. But when you dissect, that'll be something that's fun to do. And for the remote students, if we find anything inside the stomach, we'll definitely share it with you guys. We will be doing a dissection underneath the document camera live for the remote students. So here's the stomach, right? So there's the stomach, this big part right here. And then you have the small intestine. So the small intestine's next. So it goes from the stomach to the small intestine. And at the bottom, it's actually kind of hard to see, but the bottom part right here, that's the large intestine. It's really short, but it's thicker. So it is the large intestine. So it goes, and we'll do this probably in order on the quiz, just so that you don't get messed up. Here's the stomach. And then you have this longer structure, which is the small intestine. And then you have this bottom structure right here. Ooh, oh, I brought that up really close. That's the large intestine. So it's just really short. So when you lift it up though, so when I lift up the stomach, I'm going to see the spleen. So do you see that bean-like structure right there? So I'm kind of moving it. That is the spleen. So it's kind of underneath the small intestine. So there's the spleen. And so another thing that you need to know, do you see these like this yellow stuff? So next to the eggs. Yeah, let's see if I can take some of it out. Oh no. So you see that yellow stuff? You can probably see it better in other frogs. This frog doesn't have a whole lot of fat, but this yellow stuff right here, those are called fat bodies, and that's basically the fat of the frog. So these are fat bodies, so you'll need to know that. I'm going to go ahead and take out the eggs. These are the eggs. That's really cool. So these are the eggs of the frog, which is really neat. So this frog just didn't release their eggs. Another neat thing is when you look at a female frog, you'll see the oviduct. And so that's almost kind of like the fallopian tube of the frog. And so you'll only see this in females, but look how long it is. It's this coiled structure right here, and that is the oviduct. Okay. So let's see. I also want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and remove some of this stuff so that you can see other parts. So let's go ahead and review really quickly. I'm just going to do a quick review. So you have the heart, and you have the atria, and you have the ventricle. Then you have the stomach. Then you have the small intestine. You have the large intestine. Large intestine's at the bottom. That bean-like structure right there is the spleen. You do not need to know the oviduct for the test, so I'll skip that because who knows if we'll have a male or a female. See, we weren't able to see the testes for this. So you'll probably see the testes if you're in class and you have a male. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the stomach out. I'm just going to, and see this like clear stuff? That's connective tissue. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out so that you can better see the lungs. So I'm actually probably going to cut it. So let's go ahead and do a transition. Alright, so I kind of took some of the parts out. This bag-like structure, this is one of the lungs. This is the frog's left lung. Okay, so notice how stretchy it is. So it looks a lot different from the liver. Okay, so you'll definitely be able to tell the difference between the liver and the lungs. I gotta say, students mix those up quite a bit. So it's very baggy, it's very stretchy because air needs to go through it. And so I've actually dissected frogs where the lungs were filled with air, which was kind of interesting. And so you'll have the baggy-like structure on both sides. So there's one over here, and there's one over here. And we may give you some hints, and we may say like the baggy-like structures, you know, whatever can help you. And then other than that, we're pretty much done with the frog. That's kind of gross. It's kind of like sticking out right here. I know this is this is kind of a gross video. And then there's this clear structure at the bottom, and you can barely see it. And we're not going to quiz you on it just because it's so hard to see. It's the bladder, and so it's this really super thin, clear structure at the bottom, and that would be the bladder. So, hopefully this dissection helped you, and I hope it was a good review, and you're always welcome to rewind and relook at things. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and bye guys!